The following program contains material that is not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to Mountain Wellness, a show about mental health. We share raw and honest stories about mental illness. We find people making a difference, and we discover resources and find hope. I'm your host, Christine Napier. On this episode, we focus on youth mental health and bullying. We define bullying, explore what to do, and highlight an organization helping children and young adults find confidence and resilience. First, we meet Emily, a college student who struggled with her mental health when she was in high school. She went from being the one who was involved in everything to not being able to get out of bed.
So when I was 15, I was a sophomore in high school. I was taking a really challenging AP course. I was attending church in the morning. I taught piano lessons after school. I was competing in piano myself, and so I was practicing heavily for that. I was very busy, and I loved it. I loved being engaged in so many things, and I really enjoyed that. And the spring of my sophomore year, I didn't enjoy it anymore. I would be practicing at the piano and crying, and I didn't know why. I wanted to sleep all day. I never wanted to get out of bed. I struggled to get up in the morning to just do simple things. I didn't like showering anymore. Any of the things that I had enjoyed, I wasn't enjoying anymore. I loved movies as a teenager, and I was always seeing movies in theaters, and I didn't care about seeing movies anymore. And I didn't know what was going on because it happens slowly. It's not all at once. Like one day you wake up and you feel sad and like you've lost these parts. I didn't feel that. It was slowly over time. And it wasn't until my mom said, we're gonna go to the doctor. I think something's going on. And I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and I was put on an antidepressant, that I felt like this fog was lifted. And I didn't realize how bad it had been until all of a sudden it was better again. And I was like, I can go to movies and I'm having fun again, and I want to be with my friends, and I'm not tired all the time. And it wasn't an instant fix by any means, but that first medication, it was like it woke me up from this cloud that I didn't even realize I was in. Another thing that I dealt with in my high school was I really struggled to make friends. We moved to Maryland when I was 10. And we'd moved before, so I was familiar with the process. But for whatever reason, I could not make friends at school. Like I tried and tried and tried, and I could not make friends. And I had acquaintances, people I knew that I would talk to in my classes, but I never had any friends that we hung out outside of school and we had like a good solid relationship. I just didn't have that. And that was really hard. I didn't understand why I didn't have that. And so at 15, when I was diagnosed with depression, what I was going through at that same time was I was struggling with lunch, which sounds kind of like a strange thing to struggle with. But at my high school, there were 3 lunches, and you went depending on where you were in the building. So, one part went to first lunch and so on. So I was at second lunch. I didn't know anybody, like a single person in my lunch. And so I would sit at the table by myself, because I didn't know anyone, and you weren't allowed to leave the building. You're pretty confined to the cafeteria. And I had people who were laughing at me for sitting by myself. And so I ate in the bathroom for almost the entire year. And that was really hard. That is what I feel like kind of pushed me over the edge with depression. And so I really struggled with that aspect of feeling like not only did no one want to be my friend, but when I tried just to be confident in what I was doing, just eating by myself, I would bring a book or I would try and do something, I was laughed at. which was really hard. I just didn't understand why. What was it about me?
After the break, Emily shares her difficulties with making friends. She opens up about her mental illness and how she became brave enough to build awareness in a unique way.
I never felt happy. I was just always down, always miserable.
I've suffered from depression probably most of my life.
And then somehow we came across Dr. Melissa.
I'm so excited to get started with Jordan and see if we can bring her some additional relief that she's been struggling to find for so many years.
TMS treatment has helped me tremendously with my depression.
My mom did TMS, and she's definitely been a different person since.
TMS is a non-invasive treatment that treats specific regions of the brain involved in mood, anxiety, and thinking abilities.
I'm really excited to pursue TMS, to continue treatments with Dr. Melissa.
Contact our office to learn more and find out if TMS is right for you.
She saved both of us. I really credit her to saving our lives. For that, I'll always be grateful.
This is Mountain Wellness. We are continuing Emily's story. While she struggles to manage her mental illness after eating lunch alone in the bathroom for a year, her life begins to shift and she finds ways to heal and discovers hope.
When we moved to Utah, when I was 17, we moved right before my senior year of high school, I made friends within the first couple months, and I had a great year with friends. And it was so different because I thought, was it me? Was it the environment? Why was it that I couldn't make friends? And so, my mental health was huge as a part of that. And it was something I was scared to tell people because I felt like I'm already struggling to make friends. Am I going to struggle even more if I'm open about this thing that I am dealing with? I didn't know how people would react. I had a friend in particular who I just loved, and we spent all this time together, and I was terrified to tell her because I didn't want her to know what I was going through. I didn't want her to make fun of me. I didn't want anyone to make fun of me because it was hard enough on its own. In contrast, when I was 13, we were hiking in Zion, and I tore a muscle in my hip. And when we came home, I had a lot of issues with it. For a while there, it looked like I needed to have surgery, and everyone knew about it. I had people telling me that they were praying for me, that they were thinking about me. I got flowers sometimes. Like I had very generous people in my life who knew what was going on. But when I was going through depression and anxiety, which to me felt 10 times worse, nobody knew what was going on. There was no sense of like, oh, I can be open and I can talk about this with you. It was so like the underlying idea of we keep this quiet. Like this is more of a personal thing that you deal with on a personal level and you don't talk about it with other people. And when I graduated high school and I started talking to other people and people disclosed to me that they were dealing with mental illness and with mental health, I felt like I'm dealing with this too. We can talk about this. And I ended up becoming like a big advocate for therapy. I loved therapy. It really helped me process my high school experience. And there was a point, I remember on my 16th birthday, someone asked me how high school was going. And I just finished my sophomore year. And I was telling them about my experience with lunch. And I was sobbing. I could not even talk about it without crying. And going through therapy and processing that totally changed that for me. Then I felt like I could talk to other people about it. I could be open about it. And then I thought, maybe I can use it to help other people. I decided, I was like, I want to start a t-shirt brand that is all about therapy. That was my original goal. And so my original design says therapy is for everyone, because I wanted to articulate the idea that, therapy isn't just for people who are struggling with mental health. Therapy is for anybody. It's not just for women, it's also for men, for children, because I think we focus a lot more on women's mental health than we do men. And so I got this t-shirt, and My friend suggested to me, she was like, why don't you sell it in stickers too? And I was not a big sticker person. I didn't have any stickers on anything. And I was like, okay, I think I'll do it on stickers too. And people loved the stickers, which was really exciting for me to see. And so I started coming out with other designs, with other mental health designs. My most popular one says, you can talk to me about suicide. And I created it because I wanted it to be on a laptop or on a water bottle. And if someone sees it, then they can say, okay, this is someone that I can talk to about the topic of suicide, about depression, about mental illness, about all this. And I have had people reach out to me and tell me that they have had conversations because of the stickers, which just means the world to me, because that's all I've wanted to do, is create an environment that is more open to talking about mental health, because I don't want people to feel as alone and isolated in it as I did.
Emily developed a unique brand that is reducing stigma, building awareness, and increasing conversations around mental health. Thank you, Emily, for sharing your story with us. Up next, we continue our focus on mental health and youth, specifically bullying.
At Red Willow Counseling and Recovery, we provide healing, compassionate, non-judgmental therapy. Call us today at 435-268-2228.
Welcome back. Emily recently shared her challenges with mental illness as a high schooler and how damaging it was not having friends. But what happens when teens turn on one another, when friendships become toxic to the point of bullying? Dr. Melissa Lopez Larson, a child and adolescent psychiatrist, defines bullying and explains the long-term consequences.
My definition of bullying is a persistent and intentional intent to cause harm to another individual based on having a perceived power over them. In other words, bullying is a power differential in relationships. And so when people have a perceived power differential and then they intentionally use it to cause harm to others over and over again, that's how I define bullying. So some of the more typically seen places where bullying occurs are schools and online. And I think, our kids spend almost half their life in school at this point. So of course, that's where it's going to most likely occur. And I think also we are seeing more and more online bullying as well. Bullying is just so detrimental in so many ways, and it can have both short and long-term impacts. And in my office, in my clinical experience, I run into teens and kids who've been bullied, and they struggle with anxiety, depression, and it's usually related to being alienated, socially isolated from their peers, being physically or emotionally just traumatized over and over again. And sometimes that can set people up for a lifelong history or lifelong problems with depression, anxiety, and in some severe cases of bullying, PTSD as well. I treat a lot of adults in my practice, and when I talk about some of the causes of their low self-esteem, whether their trust in relationships, sometimes it can go all the way back to those instances in their life when they were in fact bullied. One of the things that people don't always recognize is kids can actually be bullied in their own home by older siblings. And a lot of times parents are like, well, boys will be boys or siblings will be siblings and this is what they do. But you really want to make sure that you're developing a culture of love and respect and boundaries within the home setting to make sure that this isn't just a reenactment of what's happening at home. Obviously, if there's domestic violence or some relationship difficulties in the home, you may want to address those as well. I've talked to a lot of individual kids in my practice about what they think about bullying, why they think kids bully. And another theme that constantly comes up is, kids and teens don't actually have a lot of power and control in general in society, at home and family. And so when they have it and they have the opportunity to have it and take it, it's almost like a drug. It's kind of exhilarating to be able to then control and manipulate and have power over individuals, especially if there's some power inequalities at home.
What are the warning signs? Are you worried that your child may be getting bullied? When we come back, Dr. Melissa Lopez Larson discusses these topics and more.
I've suffered from depression probably most of my life. I suffer from chronic illness, and it causes a lot of pain, which made my depression worse. And TMS has changed that.
It was just so amazing to watch Shauna's depression go away and her migraines decrease, and really just to see her joyful and happy again.
TMS treatment has helped me tremendously with my depression.
TMS is a non-invasive treatment that treats specific regions of the brain involved in mood, anxiety, and thinking abilities.
It's been months since I ended. I still feel better, and that's great.
So please give us a call, because we'd love to figure out if this is the right treatment option for you, and if we can do what we've done for Shauna and so many others.
I'm just grateful for this place and what they offer and what they do for people, and most importantly, what they've done for me and my family.
Welcome back. We are continuing our conversation with Dr. Melissa Lopez Larson about bullying and what to do if you are concerned that your child is a victim and how you can find help.
I always tell parents, be on the lookout for bullying, because oftentimes kids and teens are going to deny being bullied. And the reason for that is there's a lot of shame and humiliation that comes with being bullied. And so most teens and kids won't tell their parents. They're also really worried that adults can't fix a situation that's a social connectedness situation, that's a peer group, so they don't actually have any hope that adults can actually help them. And so, a lot of times they won't disclose it. But what I tell parents is, if you notice, any changes in your child's mood, appearance, or behavior that seems kind of drastic, you want to pay attention and find out what's going on. Some of the specific warning signs would be more social isolation, feeling down, maybe being more irritable. I see kids will change their clothes or their attire to make themselves less noticeable or draw less attention to themselves. So they may wear their hair down in front of their face. They may wear clothes that covers up their body more so that it can't be a source of attack against them. Other things that I'll typically see is a lot of school refusal, meaning kids will stop going to school, they'll skip school. And if your kid was normally like a really A student, is a really good, always went to class, and all of a sudden is missing classes or not going to classes, that's a really big red flag. But if your child does disclose the fact that they've been bullied, there's certain things that I'd like parents to really do, and one of them is just listen. The very first thing is you just listen and you support them. You try to listen non-judgmentally. You may not want to say, well, maybe I should go, punch him in the face. That might not be the best thing to say. Or you may just say, toughen up, that's life, and you got to have a thick skin. So you really want to just listen, be supportive, and, don't jump in. Don't jump in and try to save the day, because as a parent, and I'm a parent, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to fix this, right? We all as parents are going to want to fix this. But you really want to give them the opportunity to try to figure this out with you and other people in collaboration, to try to figure out what are the right next steps and solutions to solve this problem, because it's a big problem and it can be a very complex problem. And there's a lot of different solutions out there. But I want your child or your teen to be the driver of the answer for these solutions. And I also want to remind you that, again, because this is about power and control, when we parents try to take over the control of the situation and we're not allowing them the opportunity to make a change for themselves and learn from this situation. Because, in life, there's always going to be people out there who are not nice and potentially bullies. There's bullies in adulthood as well. And you really want to give them the opportunity to learn how to fix these relationship dynamics now. And this is the perfect setting to do so. The last thing I tell parents, and this is probably the hardest one for all of us, including myself, is you got to check yourself. Don't bring your own, prior history of potential bullying into the mix, so to speak. It can be triggering for a lot of individuals, a lot of adults, if they've been bullied in the past too. And so, I really want you to take a deep breath and just sit and listen and be present. So when I see individuals in my office who are bullying, I really try to look at the whole ecosystem of a child's life. does this child need individual work? Is there some family work that needs to be done? How much do we not involve the school system? Are there legal implications that we may want to look into? And what are some of the community supports? So if we think about the individual, solution, what are the things that we can do to help address this person right now, our kid or our adolescent? We may want to talk to them about different sources of support, and that could be individual therapy, that could be finding a mentor, maybe an older student who's been through some of this or knows the school system or the culture of a certain sport or activity. It could be doing some peer support groups, finding out if there's some good groups in the school or if there's some outside groups that they could belong to. And there's some awesome great online programs and some bullying programs that they can even look into themselves. Kids may not tell you, and you might even actually kind of know. You might talk to their friends and your friends might tell you, or you might hear it from an adult or maybe even a school teacher. So what I would do is I would enlist the support of other people who are trusted adults. And that could be a favorite teacher at school, that could be the school counselor, that could be, the uncle down the street who loves to go hang out with them. So enlist the support of other people. If people are struggling to figure out where to find the resources or what resources available, I always encourage people to contact my office. And if I'm not able to help you kind of find the right, solution here in my clinic, I'm well aware of all the vast variety of ways to intervene and get you the right support you need. I think we have a great community up here. There's tons of support, but sometimes it's hard to know who to call and where to find those resources. So I always have somebody available to talk to people at any time. I direct people all over the state of Utah and beyond all the time. And I'd like to hear from families and get to know what's going on with them and see how I can most be helpful.
Thank you, Dr. Melissa Lopez-Larsen, for your thoughtfulness and thoroughness in discussing bullying, and for your willingness to go above and beyond to help kids and families who struggle with this topic. Mountain Wellness will return.
At Red Willow Counseling and Recovery, we provide healing, compassionate, non-judgmental therapy. Call us today at 435-268-2228.
You are watching Mountain Wellness. 20% of adolescents experience bullying nationwide. So what can be done? How can we help children not become victims? And what can we do to help the one who is the bully? Park City Jiu-Jitsu is helping children and teens face adversity through bullying prevention. We join Ramona Stark and Mike Diaz at their gym.
We're a jiu-jitsu program. We teach kids and adults anywhere from 4 or 5, depending on the kid, up to however old. We do all different kinds of training. We do just pure self-defense. So women come in and they want only self-defense, we'll do that. We do sport jiu-jitsu, but everybody that comes through the program learns the self-defense side of it too.
Each kid comes in with a different set of things that they need to work on. And some kids that are like angry or kind of aggressive, it really helps them. And then the kid that's super timid and shy, it kind of brings out them, gives them confidence and helps them that way. And it's really cool in just the way the program helps.
Like you can bring a kid in that's super aggressive, it doesn't mean he's gonna be better than the kid that's really mellow. Because we get parents that come in, they have 2 kids and they're like, oh, my one kid is so aggressive, he's gonna be the best. My other kid, he's shy, he's probably not gonna be very good. And the shy one usually ends up being better. We don't punch or kick really. I mean, there's times that we will use a punch or a kick. This is more of a grappling-based art, so it's all about connection. So if anybody's being attacked, it's up to them to make a really great connection to that person, to put them onto the ground where they have better leverage on that person, and then they can take the fight as far as they want. What we do is always about standing up to bullies. The kids are required to stand up to the bully.
And for another kid too.
And for another kid, yeah. They're required, if they see somebody being bullied, they have to step in because they're in a position of power now with the knowledge that they have. They're taught to follow the 3 T's, right? So the first one would be talk to the bully. They have to talk to the bully. They can't just go up and engage with the bully. So once they talk to him, tell him to leave me alone, whatever, Then the next one is to tell, and that's to tell parents, teachers, everybody. Let them know that there's a problem going on. And then the last one is to tackle, and it doesn't mean just go out and tackle the guy, but to confront the bully and deal with the problem.
We've seen kids that they won't even really make eye contact. And that's one of the things that we see right away when a child comes in. We can tell when they won't make eye contact, when we talk to them, when they look down. So that's what we start focus on right away. Mike will be like, look at me in the eyes, talk to me, and focus. We don't let them put their head down and do that. They have to start to engage, and it builds their confidence. It's like little by little, and as the kids progress, they eventually become the leaders of their group. We try to bring each child up to have that leadership quality and be able to do that, and we'll have kids that you would not believe that could eventually be able to lead their team, and they can.
I think that the bully is the one that probably needs the most help, because he's lacking a lot. Most bullies really lack confidence, so we need to get them some confidence. We need to build them up. But the other thing the bully doesn't understand is humility. He's never been on the side of the other kid. It's not about maybe just the fight with a person, but adversity. Learning how to really fight through adversity. And that's what those kids do. Every day they come here, they have to fight through adversity. So no matter what happens to them in their life, they're going to know how to deal with it. That's what they're learning to do, is they're learning to fight through adversity.
Thank you, Park City Jiu-Jitsu, for sharing your programs with us and for teaching people to follow their intuition and find their inner strength. Solutions to bullying and teen mental health are not easy, but bullying prevention programs are making a difference. And we can all help by modeling respect and kindness and seeking out assistance when we are struggling. Thank you for watching and supporting Mountain Wellness. If you are struggling, do not hesitate to reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Together, we can all make a difference. I'm your host, Christine Napier. I'll see you next time.